Well, the revenue, there's a real simple thing. I told you what revenue is. But you're
Or the amount
right.
of dollars you
Expenses and
take in?
profit. What's that?
The amount of dollars you take in?
Yeah, revenue is all the money you take in. And then what's expense?
It are cost of the items required to operate businesses.
Yep, that's all the money you spend. And profit is the difference. So what it's asking you for right here in the profit or loss is the $894.50. Can you see that?
Yes.
That's all the money you took in. You spent $761.80. What's the difference between the two?
The 132.70.
That's it. So each of these in this profit or loss is the difference between revenue and expense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Down here where it says month, if you add all the revenues together, there are 4 weeks in the month, you get $4,649 for that month. That's how much you made. Your expenses for that month were $3,649.60. What's the difference between those? The difference between $4,649.01 and $3,649.60. $991 or
$999.41.
That's it. Now the problem says that she wanted to make $1,200. We know how much she did, how much revenue she brought in, the $4,649, and we know that she wanted to make $1,200 because that's how much profit she wants to make. What would the ideal expense have been?
Okay.
Because we know how much revenue she made and we know how much money she wants to get to keep. How would you find out how much the expense should have been?
You have to subtract.
Yes, that's exactly right. And when you subtract it, you get $3,449 and a penny. So that is what her expenses should have been to make that much profit.
And we subtracting the 4,649.01 from the 1,200.
We're subtracting the 1,200 from the 4,649.
Okay.
Because the 4,000 number, that's the revenue. And what's the revenue?
What you got? How much you got?
Yeah, that's all the money we've got. And what's profit? What's profit mean?
How much you made?
How much you made?
That's how much you get to keep. You made $4,649. You only get to keep 1,200 of it. So if I want to keep 1,200 out of my 4,000, how much could my expenses be? So but think about it this way. You want to go at the end of the month, you want to go take a trip and you need $500 and you make $2,000 a month. How much can your expenses be? If you make 2,000 and you need 500 at the end of the month, how much can you spend?
1,500, right?
1,500. That's what this is. This is just how much can I spend to have the amount I want left over. All right. Does that make sense? Anyone want me to go deeper into that?
So the answer would be the 3,449 and a penny.
That's it.
Okay.
That's how much she should have had in expenses. That's how much she should have had in expenses.
And that's just how all the other questions is also?
What's that?
Is that how all the other questions are?
All the questions are things we talked about. They're not all exactly like you know, they're asking you slightly different things, but it's all about that relationship between revenue and expense, and different types of expenses. And if you think about it, that revenue is all the money I have and expenses are what I spend and profits what I get to keep, then you can, you know, it's just kind of figuring out where to put what.
Okay.
Okay. Who else has a question?
Mm.
Now, is anybody in here comfortable using Excel?
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fairly comfortable.
You're gonna have to play with it a little bit, because you can make the Excel do a lot of this for you. I mean, you can, if you want, pull up a calculator and do it that way. But you can play with the Excel and it'll start filling in these blank, you know, start filling in these boxes for you. This little button right here that says FX,
Mhm.
that's your formula button. So you can use, you know, if I click this box right here, you can see it's got a formula in it and it says B4. So if you look B4, that's this box, minus C4, which is this box, equals this box. So I have created a formula that automatically fills this in. And then you can copy that and just have it fill in other boxes.
I was just going to ask if that was allowed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You should, if you can, the more you can use the Excel, I mean, this is your first assignment. So I'm not going to teach you how to use Excel, but it is one of those things as you tinker with it, you can kind of figure it out. So who has another question? Anybody?
I'm trying to get that in my.
I have a question.
Yes.
Skipping into chapter 2, let me just find it real quick.
Okay.
So for question 4, chapter 2,
Uh-huh.
it's just as simple. Is it we're using the same weighted check average for all the months, correct?
Yeah, let's open the book and see what the book says. Because off the top of my head, without reading the question, I can't tell you. So let's see. The question says, Lopez Brothers predicts a 5% increase. Is that the right one? Is that,
Yes.
okay. So we have the guest count last year. Oh wait, there are multiple parts. Okay, so we have, the first thing we could do is, how do we get the check average?
In the top part,
Yeah,
yeah, and that part I've done. So I came up with the weighted check average of 960.
correct. So the
And
check,
so-
just to let everyone know, the check average is going to be the sales, how many dollars divided by how many people. So if I tell you that we had 5 people come in and they spent $25, what would the check average be?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch those
Oh.
numbers.
Yeah, if I had 5 people come in and my total sales were $25, what was the check average?
$5.
$5. So it's just the sales divided by the guest count will give us a check average. So our check average for this one is $9.42. Next one is $9.48, because it's just dividing the sales by the guest count. And if we total the sales for the year, because this is every month, down here we'll get
$613,728.
Because the total, yeah, the total is just all the months added up. And the guest count is just all the guests added up. That's the total. Because 1 month, January is 1 month and it's 4,800. And if I add all the months, I get this one. And like I said, the check average is just the sales divided by the guest count. And so you are correct. Get $9.60.
So, and then in the second part, we use the $9.60 for each month, correct?
Correct. So you
Okay.
have figured out that that your weighted check average is $9.60. So it's the same for every month.
Okay,
And now we're changing our guest forecast because it says in the problem the guest count is going to go up 5%.
yes.
So are you clear on how to do that, on what happens next?
Yeah, that's just the original guest count times 0.05.
Yeah, well, 1.05. If you do it times 0.05, you'll get the increase. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's okay. I did it the long way around. I did the times 0.05 plus the original number.
Yeah, that's the
But-
exact same thing.
Yeah, but that's a quicker way.
Yeah.
So that's good. I'll remember that next time.
If you multiply it, they say that the guest count is increasing by 5%. So this number right here is 1.05 times last year. So if you take 1.05 times last year's guest count, it'll give you this year's guest count. For instance, in this one is 5,040 people because that's 4,800
Yeah.
times 1.05. And the projected sales is just how many guests you're going to have times how much money they're going to spend.
Yes.
There you go. And these totals are just the whole year added up down at the bottom. So, for instance, all the guests added together. I think that's right. Nope, that's not wrong. I got too many numbers in there. No. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Who else has a question?
I do.
Who does?
Me, Lily.
Really? Tell me what your question is.
Okay, number is chapter 1, question 4. I don't understand the reserve, like what I kind of get half the stuff, but I'm trying to say where you get that number, the
Okay,
500.
well,
5,000.
Yeah, and this, it looks a little, it's like, wow, there's a bunch of stuff missing on this that you have to fill in. But we can figure this out. We can figure it out. It's just so right here, this is percent of budget,
Mhm.
right? So how do I get percent of budget?
By dividing the actual divided by budget.
You're exactly right. So that means this one is 49.9%. Okay, let me see. Okay. And then my revenue, let's see. Well, if my expenses were $3,500
Mhm.
or $355,000, that's
Mhm.
my expenses. And then my reserve is 5,000. That's my total. That's all my expenses plus all my leftover money. So the reserve is kind of like, this is a school, so they don't make a profit, but they do have a little leftover money. So if I take all my expenses plus my leftover money, what do I get?
5,000. I'm not sure.
I get 360,000. So that's my revenue. That's all my expenses plus a little bit of reserve sheet.
Oh, okay, added those together.
Um,
Do the same thing for the other one?
well, now I can start figuring things out from here. So I know that, for instance, all my expenses added together will give me my total expenses.
About 1/8.
By how much?
180,173.
You're
So
correct.
like 800.
So we know we've got that. And we can start, figuring some things out. So if this is my revenue, and I know that I'm at 49% of budget. If I'm at 49% budget here, what's 49% of 360,000? You can calculate it. You can multiply this times 0.499 and you will get a number.
So
So you'll get, because we know the percentage of budget is the same.
Okay.
Okay, now. We can start calculating these things. So we know what our actual budget was supposed to be. Our actual revenue. Now we have our expenses. So we've already got our total expenses. How do I get a percentage over here? What would I do?
Do the same thing. Yeah, like divide the actual divided by.
Yeah, so if
budget?
I divide 84,961 by 170,000, I get right at 50%. And I can do that for all of these and get a number.
Mhm.
I can do it here. I can do it down here for total expenses and get the number. But let's look at one thing real quick. Just the what did they anticipate? And this is like we're halfway through the year. So how are we doing halfway through the year? They had anticipated at this point, well, their expenses at this point are $180,000 and their revenue is $179,000. How are they doing? Just in general,
Mhm.
look at their expenses and look at their revenue, which is bigger.
The expenses,
Okay, and what's revenue mean?
the money that you make.
Yeah, that's the money you make or that you take in. And what are expenses? What is it, Lily?
We're just talking about that earlier.
What are expenses?
That's what you make, I think. Like
Expenses are what you spend. Revenue is what you take in the door, and expenses are what you spend. So think of it this way: your revenue is how much you get in your paycheck, and your expenses are how much you pay in rent. Okay, so if we look at this, which one is bigger, revenue or expense?
which one is more expensive?
Yeah, which number is bigger, revenue or expense or total expense?
The total expense.
So if the
Yeah.
now think about it, if you're at home and your rent is more than you make a month, is that good or bad?
That's bad.
Yeah, that's bad. if you are spending more than you make, you're in the hole.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
So right here, we know that this number right here is going to be negative, and so it's the expenses minus the revenue, or the revenue minus expenses. You can get $413 are in the hole. And so our percent of budget, we thought, we should have $2,500. We don't. We're $400 in the hole. So if I divide 413 by 5,000, I'm going to get a negative number here, and it shows that we're behind on budget. Okay. Anyone got another question? Sounds like somebody out there needs a new battery in their fire alarm. Maria, do you have a question? Caitlin? Ewan?
I think I got it.
Okay. Lily, you got another question or?
I'm trying to check in it to see.
Okay.
Yes, okay, sorry, I got another question.
Don't
I'm
apologize.
kind of a little confused.
Okay.
On chapter 1, question 2.
Okay. All right. So what's the confusion?
Like, they give me the chart to look at to see,
Okay.
but you gotta use that chart to do the other ones.
Okay. So let's look at this. Let's look at the question. And so it tells it, the next thing it says is they've created this top chart up here. And then they want us to create the next charts. And let's see what I know. So I have a chart for, let's see, I guess this is April here. So this is the April chart right here.
Okay.
And what's my revenue for April? Does it say in the problem?
Hold on, let me look. April. It should be in the book probably. I'm not sure. I don't see it.
For this one in the problems, it
Yes.
gives you two different sets of number. One, so you have the original numbers and then the projected numbers from the boss.
Right.
And then she counters with a second set.
Right. So, but what's the revenue? Because it does
The-
say what they expect the revenue should be.
The expected revenue is 120,000.
Right. That's given in the problem if you read the problem. And then it tells you what is your food and beverage expense. And who asked the question originally? Lily, was that you?
Yes, sir.
So do you have the book in front of you?
Okay, April. Yeah.
You have the book?
Okay, I see it. Okay.
You have the book handy, Lily?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you look down, you're on page 24, down by the bottom, it says April revenues, and it says 120,000.
Mhm.
And then below it, what does it say for food and beverage expense?
44,000.
44,000. Okay. And what does it say about your labor and other expenses?
It said remain constant.
Okay, so if we look at the top
What does it
one,
say?
it tells you up here, we just copy those numbers because it says they stay the same. Okay. So to get, what's the total expense going to be? How do I calculate total expense?
Add all those together.
Add all those together.
Yep.
So if I add all those together, I'll get the total expense. And how do I figure out what the profit's going to be? There's a relationship between revenue and expense.
The total number of expense minus the revenue.
Yeah, the
Revenue minus expenses to get the profit.
revenue minus expense, which is this when you calculate right here, will give you profit. And all these over here are just percentages. Okay. So these are, you'll just divide the revenue. You'll divide the number by the revenue, and it'll give you the percentage.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so now if we go down to the bottom, which is the second half of the problem,
Okay.
This is on the top of page 25. It tells us that the revenue is 120,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it says the food and beverage expense is going to be
44,000.
4,000. And how much does it say the labor expense is going to be?
50,000.
50,000. And how much is the other expense going to be?
19,000.
15,000. And now you just do the calculations.
Chef, I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On the first one, you put for labor expenses 40%. That's
I put 40,000, didn't I?
Okay, 40,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I got it.
Okay. And see, it's the same thing over and over about expense, revenue, profit. It's just, you've got the questions are like, well, what if I give you the profit? How much is the expense? What if I give you the revenue? How much how much is the expense? If I give you the profit, how much were the revenue and it's just the interrelation. It's just, you have to pay attention to what they're asking you.
Okay, I think I understand it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Who else has a question? Anyone? If you got a question, I'll answer it. But if not, we'll end it.
Thank you, Chef.
Oh, no questions, Bria?
I think I got it now.
Okay. I'll do this every week. So if you have questions, just bring me the questions, and I'm not going to do them for you, but I'll walk you through setting it up so that you can plug it in. And don't, you're not familiar with it, so it looks weird. But the questions they're just asking they're asking about profit, expense, and revenue. That's all they're asking about. Okay. Well, thanks guys for asking me questions. And I put the Dropbox up so you can put your Excel files in there when you get them done. Make sure that you say that the Excel file you send me has been saved so that it has, because it's possible to fill in the Excels. And if you don't save it, the one you send me will be blank or it won't have the answers in it. So just make sure that you save it with the answers in it. Okay.
Yes.
All right. If nobody has any questions, I'll end the session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson.
Anytime. It's my pleasure to do this. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.